like to share with you a few short stories that happened recently, either that I heard from other people or that occurred to me. The first one is a story which occurred to me on Shabbos. I left my house very late on Friday night to go to shul. I was late in the sense that I didn't even know if I was going to make it to shul before the davening was over. The reason being just simply it's hectic and trying to get everything together and have to take care of a baby. I didn't get out till pretty late. So I'm walking to shul. As I'm walking to shul, I'm thinking about the words Shabisi Hashem the Negdi Tamid. I place Hashem before me always. I'm trying to think about more than just the simple meaning that you should actually place the Shem Havaya, Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey in front of myself. I'm trying to think, what does it really mean in the sense of like, what does it mean that I'm placing Hashem before me always as I walk down the street? So as I'm thinking about this pasuk, I noticed that there's a couple of girls in front of me, maybe 14, 15 years old. They're 50 feet away or something like that. And then all of a sudden, I have this wave that kind of like passes over my shoulders. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It gives me a certain, I guess you could say, like consciousness. And I immediately think I have to daven for our neighborhood to be safe. I have to pray to Hashem that our neighborhood should be safe. So that's what I did. As I was walking, I said, Hashem, you should put safety on our neighborhood. No one should be hurt. No one should be bothered. We should have a Shabbos of peace and rest and different things along those lines. And as I'm saying this, I notice a SUV, a black SUV has driven past us. And all of a sudden, this SUV opens up its window and it yells out to these two girls, "Hail Hitler!" And it was very uncomfortable. And I knew the girls were very scared, but I figured, there's probably a bunch of foolish people and they'll continue driving past and that'll be the end of it. And it'll be an unpleasant experience, but it's over. At least that's what I'm hoping. And 10 feet later, another "Hail Hitler!" And now I'm starting to get a little bit worried. So I notice now that they get to the stop sign, and when they get to the stop sign, instead of continuing to go forward and not bothering us anymore, they actually reverse their car. This is something that's never happened to me before. And so I call to these two girls and I say to them, "Girls," and they turn around. They didn't know that I was behind them. And I say to them, "Go this way, go backwards. I'll take care of it." And so they look at me and say, "We're scared." And I said, "Just go." So they go in the opposite direction. And I don't know where I got the guts to do this because I'm not someone that doesn't have anxiety in relationship to, dangers and such. But for some reason, I just pushed forward and I went right up to the window, the open window of this person. And I didn't take into account any physical calculations or anything like that, because clearly this person could be wielding a gun. This person is most probably 100 times physically stronger than me. So barring a David and Goliath type of a circumstance, he could have beat me to a pulp even if he didn't have a gun. And I just walked right up to the window and I thought to myself, Shavisi Hashem the Negdi Tamid, I place God in front of me always. And we are two human beings speaking to each other. So I have nothing to fear. And I walk up to the window and I look at this person in the eye. And the first thing I say to him without pause, I don't know how this happens. It happens to be a guy with a girl and they're clearly high or drunk or both. And I just look at him in the eyes and I say to him, "You need to have more respect in our neighborhood. You need to have more respect for us. It's not right." And the girl kind of laughs at her boyfriend or friend or whatever you want to call him. And he looks back at me and, I continue. And I think I said to him, like, we need to be able to coexist together. It's just not, this isn't the right thing. It's not right to do this. And we had a whole conversation afterwards. He showed very little sensitivity for the fact that I was Jewish, and he asked me all sorts of interesting questions, like, "Do you guys actually even use phones? Then give me your number." And one of the questions he asked me at the very beginning, I don't remember the order of the whole conversation, was, "Tell me a verse." And so I said to him, Sharisi Hashem and Hegli, tell me that I place God in front of me always. And ultimately, he asked me for my number. They asked me if Jews drink. And I said, yes, we do have a drink in order to celebrate things and even sometimes to connect ourselves to Hashem, etc. But in the end, I looked at him one more time. There was one part in the middle where he looked like maybe he was getting upset, but it was very brief. And in the end, I looked at him again before I left, and I said, you need to have more respect for us as people. You really do. And eventually I said to him, okay, I'm going to go. And he was like, well, then tell me another verse. This time I said, no, it's time for me to go. I want to go. And I started to walk away. And I wondered, by treating him as a human being and by davening beforehand and asking Hashem for protection, will I be okay? Because now I'm turning my back to him and who knows? So I continued to walk and he drives right past me and takes a left. And that's the end of the event. I think actually, okay, I'll tell one more story. One more story that I heard, which I want to tell a longer story of this in the next video, is that there's someone that I called to have a chavrusa with that lost his son about, I think 3-4 months ago. And he told me actually a really sweet story that when his grandmother passed away, because right now he's trying to seek the idea that a soul is eternal and that a person's life doesn't just stop when the body goes to the ground. And he was remembering that when his grandmother passed away, she left an inheritance, and $600 of the inheritance went to him. Well, he ends up, whatever it was, has the $600, and all of a sudden he notices that there's a trip to Eretz Yisrael that he could take to get in touch with his roots and his Judaism. And how much was this trip? $600. And when he saw that, it was all expenses paid, all food, all living places, etc., would be taken care of with these $600. So he went ahead and he signed himself up for this program. And ultimately, this is the moment in his life that led to his marriage and his children. He has a lot of children, beautiful children, including the one that he lost in his 20s that he loved so dearly.